Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kevin Gunn. I'm the coordinator of digital scholarship at Catholic University of America Libraries. This workshop is being recorded and will be made available at a later date along with the slides. So today we're going to be exploring the HathiTrust Analytics Research Center and using HathiTrust, the analytics to run text analysis. So what I'd like to do today is walk you through the entire process of getting started and that begins with finding material to doing, working on finding material, then exporting it into the Analytics Center where we can work on, where I can give you some quick demonstrations of the various tools that you can use for your project. So today we will review the HathiTrust Digital Library. This is where we will discover our content, build our data set, and then export it to the HathiTrust Research Center to analyze it. Then we will look at the first three main tools and generate some output from these tools just to give you a demonstration of what they're capable of. Then last, I'll show you the extracted features and data capsule options for doing a more robust analysis. So talking about HathiTrust. So it's a nonprofit membership organization founded in 2008, and it's based at the University of Michigan. And there are 160 members serving 220 campuses. So the mission of HathiTrust is to support teaching, learning, and scholarship by operating a large-scale digital library. So it's unlike other organizations in that the library operates as not a subscription database. The mission is also different from that of Internet Archive or Project Gutenberg. It has roots in the Google Books, but is an example of libraries banding together to build infrastructure for a shared cause. It is non-commercial and non-governmental, and it welcomes input from the member communities. So HathiTrust balances preservation with access and operates a preservation repository of digitized content and provides access to all of that that is legally available to and via the digital library website. So HathiTrust was built primarily through mass digitization, which is an approach to scanning at scale. So their books and book-like objects are scanned shelf by shelf with little to no decision-making about whether to scan individual items. So all told, to amass the HathiTrust collection took more than 3 billion page turns by thousands of scanning staff over the last 12, 15 years. By thousands of scanning staff over the last 12, 15 years, you guess sometimes you find artifacts of that labor in the scan. So you'll see occasional thumb or something like that within the scan. So the HathiTrust collection contains more than 18 million items digitized at member libraries. And these, which are academic and research libraries, I might add, and the content is added to the library daily. So within such a large body of materials, there are discrete sub-collections. So for example, you could have the US federal government documents provided. So the content in HathiTrust ranges from the very old to the very contemporary. So if items dating, it goes back, items dating to the 1500s, and there's quite a bit of concentration, as you can see by the charts, in the 20th century. So the predominant language in HathiTrust is English, but the chart on the right shows that the way that the share of English in the collection has gone down over time. So added value by adding other languages in there. So this slide shows the general subject areas for HathiTrust books. They're based on Library of Congress classifications. So here's the data with the subject first and the count of the title second. So you have, the largest one being languages and literature. followed by social sciences, and then world history, and then followed by philosophy, psychology, and religion take up the lion's share. So the HathiTrust Digital Library, the overall collection mirrors the print collections from which it was scanned from all the academic libraries that are part of the community. So these collections are scanned, which are primarily from these well-resourced academic libraries. So this means that the library acquisition and publishing patterns have an impact on the kind of materials you will find in HathiTrust. For example, while you are likely to find many editions of Pride and Prejudice, you are less likely to find popular fiction such as romance novels. So that is a limitation of the collection. HathiTrust follows many library conventions in how it describes and displays the material in the repository. So this means that there are certain aspects of HathiTrust infrastructure and practices that are very library-like. And occasionally, that sort of makes it challenging to approach the repository as simply a data source. So you can access the collections in a variety of ways. So full text material and copyright will not be available to read unless your institution has a subscription. So here's a screenshot of the main website for HathiTrust, and we'll get into that in a minute. So the HathiTrust Research Center is concerned with allowing users to gather, analyze, and produce new knowledge primarily via computational text analysis. So it facilitates large-scale computational research of what is available in the HathiTrust Digital Library. So the center, which is located at Indiana University and the University of Illinois, does various research and development for non-consumptive text analysis. So it's a concept that we will be explaining in later slides. So it conducts user studies, finds cutting-edge technical solutions, and builds tools and services. And this is a screenshot of their main webpage right here, and then we'll be going into that in a bit as well. So non-consumptive research, what do we mean by that? So this is a term for text analysis research that lets a person run tools or algorithms against data without letting them read the text. So if you're reading the text, that's considered consumptive in nature, and it applies a lot more copyright restrictions apply to that. Non-consumptive research complies with copyright law because of the distinction in law between ideas and expressions. So it is sometimes called non-expressive use because it works with ideas instead of specific expressions, hence the term non-expressive. So the non-consumptive research paradigm is the foundational underlying structure of the research center's work. So what is it that you're actually doing when you're doing non-consumptive research? So in concrete terms, here are the kinds of analysis activities we believe falls within the non-consumptive research paradigm. So it includes tasks such as text extraction, textual analysis and information extraction, linguistic analysis, automated translation, image analysis, file manipulation, OCR correction, and indexing and searching. So the framework looks something like this. So there's several ways non-consumptive access can be structured. So you can have partial access to the full text, which is limited, but the outputs from analysis are open, and the tools are also open. You can have transform, which the data is pre-processed or transformed before access is provided, which means that both the output and access to the transformed data is open. So HathiTrust folks at the Research Center have done some transformation for us, and they welcome you to do much more moving forward. They also have a thing called a capsule, so where you have access to full data is allowed, but the output and access are highly controlled. So this is something where you're working with the HathiTrust personnel in a secure environment, whereby you can work on your various projects. So the Research Center translates the three models for non-consumptive research into three distinct approaches. So we'll be looking at the web-based tools. So those are more simple, straightforward, and useful methods of analyzing your data. You have the derived data sets, the transform section, as you will, and that includes such things as the extracted features data set. We'll talk about that in a bit. And then you have the secure data capsules. And this is where if you want to set up your own particular project, you want to bring your own tools, your own methods, that sort of thing. It's much more self-directed, and it does require a steep learning curve in that sense. But the HathiTrust personnel are there to help you. So you're not left alone. So finding textual data. So what you want to do is you want to build a corpora, a collection of written texts, typically involving doing some deduplication, which means getting rid of multiples of volumes. So that's the biggest thing in HathiTrust. You do have to clean your data, and this is one thing that they really emphasize and which they help with. So what to keep and discard will be dependent on the specific needs of your project. Some examples of deduplication a researcher might choose include like choosing the volume with the best OCR, the optical character recognition quality, choosing the earliest edition, or choosing editions without forwards or afterwards. So as a researcher, you need to be active in doing your research, being critical of what is the data sources that you're using, the texts that you're using, and then making sure that they are in fact readable and usable and analyzable at the end of the day. So HathiTrust data is in the form of metadata and full text data. So the metadata is primarily bibliographical metadata that comes to HathiTrust in the form of MARC catalog records. So they're submitted by the contributing libraries, and that's been the predominant format for a couple of generations now, the MARC catalog record format. Once they come in, these records are augmented, though not corrected, and stored by HathiTrust. So HathiTrust will add additional metadata to them to make sure they're even more useful and searchable. So the MARC metadata is made available in several forms. So you can see it on the web under the catalog record for an item. You can see the full record with all the data. It is not easily downloadable at this time, although you can access abbreviated records through various means. So there is also full text data generated through OCR, and it's automatically done during the digitization process. So that means the OCR quality is variable based on the characteristics of the original item and the software used to do the OCR. So obviously OCR, they started in 2008. OCR has improved over the decade and a half and beyond. So it becomes less of a problem, but you still have to be aware of it. The OCR is also not hand corrected or marked up, so it would be considered a dirty OCR. So again, another thing to consider as a researcher, how clean literally is your data set, your source material. So this chart here gets kind of complicated. So it's kind of confusing of where exactly you can start with HathiTrust and text analysis. What is the data that's actually available to me and what format? So you don't need to memorize this table, but hopefully it'll help clarify that there are multiple data access options that you can use. So we'll be using some of them straight up front, just to play around with it, get a sense of what you can do. There's more sophisticated approaches, for example, the extracted features approach. There's the data API that one can use in that. So you sort of have to have an understanding of how to use APIs, be familiar with JSON. There's other things that you'll need to know before moving forward. So I'll just show those aspects of those to you, but I will leave it at that. So the Research Center can also provide access to textual data and assist users in building up a text corpora for analysis by facilitating the creation of work sets. So work sets are one way HathiTrust allows users to create text corpora to analyze. So we will create our own work set and we'll see what we can do with it. So it's a user-created collection of text from the digital library, and you can think of them as textual data sets. So the idea behind work sets is that researchers can build their own collections, which is something they're used to doing also in the analog world. And these work sets can be cited by and shared with other users, which helps encourage ensuring reproducibility. So it's a very important thing in research. So work sets are also suited for non-consumptive access, which you may remember means users cannot directly consume the text in full, but can run tools or algorithms against data for research. So, introduction to text analysis. So, very briefly, the text analysis is a subset of data analysis. So, broadly speaking, it's the process by which computers are used to reveal information in and about text. So computer algorithms can discern patterns in bodies of often structured and unstructured text. So unstructured text means that little is known about the semantic meaning of the text data, and that it does not fit a defined data model or database. So that's quite excellent. So an algorithm is simply a computational process that creates an output from an input. So in text analysis, the input would be the unstructured text, and the output would be indicators to help you reveal different things about the text. So our indicators will be a couple of the tools that they use to show you how what words come forth within a particular text. So for example, word cloud will show you what are most common words that are in that particular text. All right, so so you can break the textual data into smaller pieces. What they're doing is you can do chunking, you can do tokenizing, you can generate n-grams from the text. You can abstract, reduce the text so that computer can crunch it. And of course, you're doing a lot of counting. You're looking at words, phrases, parts of speech, that sort of thing. And then, of course, you have computational statistics, the deep end of the pool, as I call it, where you can develop hypotheses based on counts of textual features. So how does it impact research? Well, it can give you shifts in perspective. It can lead to shifts in research questions. That's a really good way of looking at it. For example, distant learning. It's one thing to look at 10 or 15, 20 texts and get some general meaning from that group, but it's very different to look at 1,000 texts, because at that point you'll get a different perspective of what's of the content from this concept called distant learning. So text analysis research questions explore a wide range of topics, from biomedical discovery to literary history. So research questions that are conducive for text analysis methods may involve these characteristics. So something, particular words that change over time. There's pattern recognition, however you want to define a pattern, and you can do comparative analysis between, for example, different editions of a particular work, that sort of thing. All right, so I'm going to demo the HathiTrust digital library, and then we'll take a data set from that, and then we'll go in and take we'll transport it to the analytics center, and then we'll work on a few of the tools that are available there. All right. Okay, so here's the main website for the HathiTrust digital library, and the URL is www.hathitrust.org. So that's what you want to do there. If you don't have a account, you'll need to create an account. So let me demonstrate this. So you log in the top right-hand corner. You'll be asked to log in through your institution. So I'm at Catholic University of America, so I'll do that. I will continue. Then I'll get the old Cardinal login. And here we are back at the page, main page. And you can tell up the right-hand corner that I am now logged in. There's a little person up there. All right, so what are we going to do now? So let's say I wanted to look at the little text analysis on art journals that were published before 1926. And I wanted to look at the concept of creativity and just see what's listed in that particular set. So what I can do is I can do a quick search in keywords here. I'm going to get a lot of stuff here. So I'm going to do creative, but I'm going to use the asterisks for truncation. So I'm going to look at creativity, creative, that sort of thing. And I'm just going to look at everything, full text in all fields. And I look and I say, oh, gee, I got 10,000 particular items here. I'm obviously, contemporary to before 1926. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to advanced search. I want to narrow this down. So I'm going to do this again. I'm going to do creative, same thing. I'm going to go down and scroll right here. I'm going to do the publication year. I'm going to do 1926, which is copyright cutoff here. Everything before that's in the public domain, at least in the United States. In language, I'm going to do English. So I'm just looking at English language journals. So what is filter by format? And it's going to say, well, all this stuff here. So I'm going to say journal. And there it is, journal. And then I'm going to do my advanced search. So you do have to have some skills in learning, Boolean logic and thinking about what is that you're going to search. In some respects, this is a good old-fashioned library catalog. So how good your skills are in searching library catalog will dictate what quality, what type of material comes back at you. So you have to think about that. So I did that first run through narrowing down using my limitations. I got 647. So I want to take a look at this. I want to just scroll down a little ways. And I notice under subject here, they have art periodicals. So it's not journals, but it's art periodicals. Hey, why not? So I'm going to click on that. It's called faceted searching. And I'm now down to 134. So I looked at this. I've got my listing here, current filters. And I say, yeah, that's pretty accurate. It's right down to what I need. So I can look at this collection right now. And I can see, just looking at it, evaluating it, I notice some interesting things here. So here's one, volume 2 for the Magazine of Art. Here's volume 18. Okay, looks good. And I continue scrolling a little bit longer and I go, okay, so this looks very interesting. Looks like I can possibly use this in my work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all my items. So it's going to select 1 to 100 on the first page. And it's going to say, do you want a new collection or do you want to add to something that already exists? So I'm going to say, I'm going to do add a new collection. It's going to say, okay, what do you want to do? So I'm doing art, journals, creativity, before 1926. And what I like to do is do a description of that. So I know if I come back in 6 months, I'll know what this is about. I do, you can put your name in there if you want, but I'm going to leave that blank. The most important thing here, if you're going to be doing analytics on your data set, is that you cannot leave it private. You have to go to public and save it. Otherwise, you won't be able to access it. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do save the changes. And I get this little thing here, 100 items added to my particular data set. So I am going to do this. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom because I want all 134. So I'm going to go to the next page. And I'm going to add the remaining. So I'm going to click on those. And since I've already created my set, Art Journals Creativity before 1926, I'll just add them to that. So now they're added to that. So now I want to look at this set here. So Art Journals Creative before 1926. Okay. So here's my 134 items. So I know all that material is in there. But I noticed something right away. Volume 8, number 3 to Volume 9, number 2. So they're sort of listed in here as cross volumes. And I notice Volume 8 down here is by itself. And also down here, Volume 9 is by itself. So I don't need these partial split volumes here. So I'm going to just, as an example, I'm just going to click those. And under add here, I can say remove. So my 134 will become 132. And there you go. And that's it. So you could go through and clean your collection as you're collecting it, so to speak. So you have consistent and non-duplicative material in there. So here's my data set, my data page for this. If you'll notice on the left-hand side, we have collection tools. So you can download the metadata if you want to take a look at it. You can transfer the collection if you wanted to someone else, or you can share. And this is important for us in the HathiTrust Analytics Center, is that you need this link to this collection. So now that we have established a data set in that, we're now going to go to our Analytics Center. And here we are. And oh, I'm still logged in. So I'm going to sign in up here. So there are 2 different units and you have to sign into each one separately. And they do time you out. So if you let it go dormant, if you will, they will throw you out. So here you go. We have the page here. So now we can do some fun stuff. So what we have a work set over in the digital library, and we need to transport it. So what we're going to do, so we're going to go to work sets. Here's my page. I've done some research on this before. So here are my data sets, and they will stay up here, I think, for 1 year or something like that. So what I want to do right up the top corner here is I want to create a work set, and it gives me 3 options. It says, do you want to upload your own file? So you can use the HathiTrust volume IDs and build your own work set that way. You can also do an import from the HCRC workset builder, which won't do today. or you can import from HathiTrust, which is what we're going to do. So I'm going to click on this. We're going to import, and it tells you how to go about the process. What I'm going to do here's, you need the URL. So I'm going to grab this URL. Good old-fashioned cut and paste. And I'm going to put that in there, and it's going to say fetch collections. That's the first thing you want to do. And if it worked, it says data retrieved from your source. So we'll scroll down here. The name is Art Journals Creativity before that. That's great. And then the description. And I'm not going to create a private work, so I'm just going to keep it as is. All right, there we go. And I cannot do this. And I'm not too sure why. Not too sure why it is not allowing me. See, do that, and still nothing listed there. Okay, well, that is most annoying. I'm going to do this again, and let's see if it works out the same way. And for some reason, oh, okay, let's see. Oh, of course, disallowed characters is a comma. Thank you very much. Troubleshooting. It's always wonderful. Oh, look at that. And now it says create work set. And there we go. All right, so here it is. Its last modified date was today, and it's listed right here. So we are good to go. Now, what I recommend as well, and what they recommend, is that you need to validate the work set. They are constantly adding material to the HathiTrust digital library, and they're removing material. So you want to make sure that your data set is current. So we're going to click on that. And it's going to ask you to, gives you a description here I won't get into. This is select a work set. And this pull down menu comes. And what you want to do is you want to select not all the work sets, but my work sets. So my work sets are Art Journals Creativity before 1926. And I validate, and I get this wonderful page here saying that's now validated. So I can download if I want, and I won't bother. And there it is. So I am good to go with this. So I can click on that, and here is my data set. Download, I can validate it, tells me number of volumes, the JSON linked data. If you want to work in that, I am not going to do that. And a whole bunch of features here, the volume ID, the title and the authors, and all that sort of material, over 132 entries. So you get a nice sense of that. All right, now right in the top right-hand corner here, it says, analyze with the algorithm. So you have these different features that you can use to go in and take a look. So if I want to do the named entity recognizer, it would take me straight here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to back up a second, and I'm going to show you right at the top here where it says algorithms, top of the page. You can go to the page. This will describe what you can do with your data set. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to work my way quickly through all of these just to demonstrate how you can do things with it. So the named entity recognizer, what does it generates a list of all the names of people and places, dates, times, percentages, and that sort of thing found in a work set. So it goes through in all the 132 volumes that we have, and it'll choose entities that fall under these, and they'll extract them, and then they'll put them out into a CSV file that you can use to clean up, export, do other things with it. So if they do limit it to 3,000 volumes at a shot, as long as that 3,000 volumes is less than 3 gigabytes. So we're definitely under that. We don't have a problem with that. So we're going to go to execute right now. And what it does, it tells you, it works you through the process of what it's looking for. So things that you wouldn't think about when you're doing unstructured text analysis. For example, end of line hyphenated words, how do they deal with that? So if there's any word that's hyphenated, they will make the word whole before searching that. So it's stuff like that if you don't do it, will give you very inaccurate results when you come out. So it's good to know and be aware of these sorts of issues when you're doing analysis, text analysis. So there's other things here I won't get into. So here it is. We'll call this, what do you want to call this? Art Journals 1926, November 17, let's say. That way we'll remember. So we'll call that, and it's required. And then you have to select the work set. So you select the work set, and we've seen this page before. We'll go down to My Work Sets, and we'll do this. Art Journals created before 1926. So you can see you want to be highly descriptive. So there's no doubt in your mind what data set that you want to use. So we'll do that. And we would like English, por favor. So doing this named entity recognizer, obviously the journals are English language, and we're going to get English back. We could look for French words in this data set of English journals, art journals, but I don't know how successful, right? But that could be a pattern that you're looking at, for example. All right, so we're going to look at submit, and we're going to take a look. So what happens is you'll come to this page called jobs, and it will give you 3 settings here. It'll say staging and running and then finished. So in this case, it's staging. So some quick points about this. Sometimes, depending on what the process is, it could take a long time. So for example, for 132 volumes, the machine is literally going through, algorithm is going through all of it and is sorting and tagging all the words and then giving them a designation. So that can take some time. So it's important you plan ahead if you're under a time crunch, that you will take several minutes or even longer, depending on the size of your data set. So this is running here. As you can see, I'm not going to worry about waiting to have it come up. What I am going to do is going to look at my completed jobs here. And I ran a similar thing on the same data set for named entity recognizer. So another test here is what I called it. So I'm going to just click on that. And what it does, it gives you a list of the volumes, the sequences of pages within each volume. So you can go take a look at it if you wanted. And it tells you what the entity name is, and then the type of named entity that is considered. So this is an organization, a Fogg Museum of Art, Harvard University. So you can tell right away just by looking at this, how am I going to handle various names and that? So you have, let's see, November. You have this sort of thing, the GRC GAC thing. What is that? What is Gorham? Is that the same as Gorham Company? So you're going to have to make decisions on so much of what is listed here and decide how you're going to clean up your data. So at this point, you can extract, you can download all this data into a CSV. Click here to download andes.csv. I did that. You get 1.05 million records in CSV lines, rows, if you will. So if you need to clean that up, you may have to use something to another software package like OpenRefine or something like that in order to clean up that particular data. But it does give you a quick way to look at your material and see what it has in there. Here you have the standard out, and this tells you that this particular run, same thing, took 18 minutes. 18 minutes to run. So this one here will list any errors if it comes across. So it gives you a sense of working with the data set and how well the job is run and that sort of thing. So that's the content, named entities. You can go through and take a look at it. So if we go back to our main page here, we can look at token count and tag cloud creator. So you're curious about what sort of words are used within a particular data set. This is a good way to get a real quick snapshot of what's available. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the token count and tag cloud creator. So let's do it, execute. Again, it discusses what it's doing, what the process is. And then down here, you can run your data set through this. So art journals 1926, November 17. That's the title we'll give it. Again, select the main data set. We want English. In addition to this, some words, since you're doing token words, some words are very common, like and the. You don't care about those. So what you can do is you can add your own stop word set, or you can use the default. So most stop word lists are just words that are not very interesting. So you want to exclude them from your analysis. You could use a stop word list to exclude other types of words that you're not interested in. So you can customize it to your particular project in that. So today we're just going to use the default. And you also can provide a URL to a CSV file containing replacement rules. So if you have, you can set up something where you say, if it says New York City, I'll replace it with New York or something like that. You can do the corrections, anything you want. So you can very much customize what output you get. So we're just going to use default here. We're going to look at lower cases. They say either true or false. We'll just say, sure, we'll just look at lower cases. Right here, the next line, display only tokens that match this regular expression. So are you familiar with regular expressions? Because they can be quite challenging. So this sort of tells you that, search all the positions. So this little hat sign, for example, says start at the beginning of a line. That's kind of important. And the $sign is end at the end of a line. So that, again, is important. You're looking at the words within a particular line. So you're looking at the different languages in this case. So you're matching any kind of letter from any language. So that's the broad picture here that's using. So you can change that to whatever it is that you want if you're familiar with regular expressions. And then lastly, they ask you the number of tokens to display in the tag field. 200 is quite a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, let's say 75. I'll change it up a bit. And then you submit. And here it is, staging. You'll notice a named entity recognizer still running, and the staging is listed here. So I've completed some projects for demonstrative purposes here. So I ran this one today. Tells you, which I really like about this, what were the input parameters? So maybe I didn't want to use the token filters exactly like this. Maybe I want to change my regular expression. I can go and say, yeah, I got to change it. I asked for English, and I asked for 50. Well, maybe I don't want 50. Maybe I want 75. So you have all that to take into account. So if I scroll down here, here is my tag cloud. So larger words mean it's mentioned more often. then smaller words here. So you get a sense of what's in this particular data set of these particular volumes. So yeah, it's it's art, it's an art journal's content. So none of this is terribly surprising here, but you get a sense of that. You can also take a look at the token counts. So it will give you the token counts. So the comma is more available out there than the period. So this is not very helpful, but you can scroll through this, you can download it, and you can look at words and search for words and see if there's anything that you can redo the search and build. So researching, like the library catalog, is very much a reiterative process. You go in, get some results, and then go back and redo it and get better results as you go along. So this is a first run through with this, and it's going to take a little bit of time. You'll notice the token count that we were running has already been run. It's very quick. This is doing a different thing. And here it is. You can tell 75 tokens. There, and there you have it listed, and nothing terribly interesting pops out. Interesting that D is there. I don't know why, 2,700 times. So maybe it's quoting some French sources. We don't know till we analyze it further. All right, so though that is the token count and tag cloud creator. Now we're going to look at the InPhO Topic Model. So this is where things get deeper and deeper into it. Topic modeling, you have a number of different topic models, frankly. This one is LDA, the latent derelict allocation model. It's a Bayesian model, and it looks for things of that particular nature. So if you have a background in statistics, then this is not going to intimidate you at all. They do have documentation here. I'll just let you know. But see, we're starting to get into the deep end of the pool. This lists, again, how everything works. Again, I'm going to do this. Art journals, creativity, 1926. And let's see, November 17, if I wanted to do it that way. So I'm going to use my collection again. And again, here's where things get interesting. So number of iterations. What happens is the machine, the algorithm, will go through your entire data set. It'll go through all 132 volumes, and it will sort stuff. It'll begin to sort stuff. But then that's not going to be enough. It's not going to be sufficient. So you need to delineate how many iterations of that the algorithm will go through, because it'll start sorting words, and it'll start putting words in different buckets, if you will. So here's 200 times. So it says a lower number of iterations will process faster. Yep. A higher number will yield higher quality results. Yes, it will. It will also take much longer. So something to keep in mind. What are the number of topics that you want to look at? So here it says we're going to divide them into 4 different buckets with 20 topics in one, 40, another 60 here, and 80 here. So you can do all that, or you can just say, I just want 20 topics and that's it. And you can make this 200 to 2,000, let's say, and this 20, and leave it at that. So I'm just going to leave all this as is, and I'm going to submit that. So again, it's up here, it's running, got a lot of work coming out. I ran this earlier today. So let's take a look at the parameters. So here's what I've got. The input parameters, and here's my clusters and topics. So you notice a lot of stuff here. Topic 71 in the cluster of 80 says here are these words that are listed together. So that's not terribly exciting. You'll notice collision detection here. If I want to click on that, it'll separate them all out. So I can spend some time looking at how they put stuff together. So topic 11 with 20, and then topic 40. So let's see, 20, color. color, few, light, Circe, and then over here, something a little bit more constructive, more interesting words per se. And you can look at the way they've done this. So, and they spread out. So you can look at the 40, you look at the 60, and just the 80, and you can get a sense. Let's see if we can pull that up. There you go. So you can get a much quicker sense of what's there, or the 20-bit. So quite a bit of fun if you're into that. Gives you can download all this and take a look at, and they'll have various parameters listed here I won't get into. Topics by JSON that you can list here, and there's a lot. So there's quite a bit you can work with, and looking at, what are the major topics that are in this particular data set. All right, so algorithms. All right, so we've done all these. And now what we'd like to do is show you a couple more features here on the extracted features download helper. So what you can do is you actually can generate a script that you can download the HTRC extracted features files for your workset of choice. So now you get to customize your data set even more if you wanted to, based on what they've done with at HTRC Analytics. So if I go in here, so art, journals. Now let me just say test. And we're going to use the same set. Then it asks you, it has different models that it's used. So we're going to use the most recent one, May 2020. So it's won 17 million volumes. And then we're going to submit that. So here it is running, staging before it runs. And here it is listed here. So I'll click on that. And this is what tells you about these features. And what it does, it gives you a script file that you can run in your bash prompt, where you can collect this. So download the shell script file, and you're using rsync, download each volume in your work set. And then from there, you can do whatever you want with it. So I am totally not going to do that, because that will be time consuming. But that's what you can do. And so as you can see, you have to bring various skills to this if need be. If not, then I recommend you talk with the folks at the HathiTrust Analytics and see what you can do and work with. And they're there to help. So they will tell you what to do and what to avoid and that sort of thing, what's possible essentially. So that's very quick, the extracted features that you can use. Now, last feature that I want to show you is this thing called Data Capsules right up here at the top. So I'm going to click on that. So you can create a capsule for your own research using a virtual machine environment. It's pretty cool. Again, you need to know what you're doing. Lots of documentation in that sense, but you do have to know what you're doing. You have your own resources. Then they have templates that you could possibly use. They've just started doing that. So I'm going to do create a capsule. And what this says here, so you can see, so if you're just not too sure about this, you can do a demo capsule. You can do, if you know what you're doing, you can do a standard research capsule, or you can do a customized research capsule. And you'll notice here it says, can be requested. So if you know what you're doing, but don't have the time to do it, you can always request from the folks at HathiTrust to go about setting up an environment for yourself. If you do the demo capsule, so this is for curious new users such as ourselves. This has this particular template listed. It's a very small thing, only 10 volumes, and it's 4 gigabytes. So you can create that. It gives you data capsule terms of use. So you cannot, if you're using copyright material, then you cannot share it with other people, for example. So they tell you a lot of this stuff there. So I'm just going to agree on that. And what you have are these particular demos. This one is being created. This one I did on the 15th. Let me click on that. So at this point, you can connect via your terminal, you connect via your remote desktop, and you have a capsule of your data that you can use and search and that sort of thing. Now, what you need to do is you need to develop a public key. And from that, and I'm not going to do that for you. There is documentation that they do have listed, but that is how you can go about creating a virtual environment of your data set and that. So as you can see, from simple to very complex. And then in the end, you can always ask for help at HathiTrust Data Center. So that is a very quick overview of the tools that are in the Research Center Analytics. If you do have questions or you want to follow up with that, you can contact me. My name is Kevin Gunn. My email is gunn, Gunn, @cua.edu, and we can have a conversation. All right. So thank you. I will now take questions. Right. Well, if there are no questions, then I will end the day. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.